If you want to support our podcast financially, please visit patreon.com/IIMBSB. Also, email us with questions or ideas at ifimaypodcast@gmail.com.
In today's episode, we return to relationship advice subreddit to discuss a few different cases of relational strife.
Some themes are, what do you do when everyone thinks your boyfriend is ugly?
And when you spot your partner being overly affectionate with your sister, where do you begin? Welcome to If I May Be So Bold, a podcast about relationships.
The ones we have with others, the one we have with ourselves.
And given that Dan and I are a couple, you're going to be hearing about our relationship too.
I'm Dan Epstein, a recording artist, former opera singer, and relational coach.
I'm Justin Waring Crane, a therapist, recovering perfectionist, and karaoke star.
So I did want to read an email that came in from Rebecca, who it happens to be a friend of our last guest, Hannah Smith. And she said, first off, I so love the episode of the pod y'all did with Hannah. I left Hannah a voice note about it, but I was having a weird morning last week, and then I put the episode on while I went for a walk, and it totally turned my mood around. And the preamble you and Justin did at the beginning of the episode about the past month you've had was so beautiful. The space y'all create to normalize conversations about our different emotional states, and that it's completely normal to move between those states within any given day, week, month, season was so refreshing. Thanks, Rebecca.
To see Harry Styles in concert, which was life-changing, dream come true.
Is it true he's British?
He kept saying Los Angeles. Which I was like, oh, like that's like a specific kind of accent. He said it like multiple times.
That's great.
Which is kind
of
fun.
That makes me like him more.
Yeah.
Just a bloke.
He pranced and danced around. He was skipping around wildly. But it was his
Olivia
first.
Wildly.
Oh my God. It was his first show back after having the flu. So, he's probably still in recovery from that. And he was singing all the low harmonies of things.
Like bass line?
No, not the lowest low, but like for Adore You. No, wait, that's, anyway. And Adore You, how the chorus is like, honey, I walk through fire for you.
Yeah.
He was singing like, walk through fire for you.
Yeah.
Just let me. I was like, as a singer, I respect that. He was really protecting his voce in a way that I can really relate to. So it was ecstasy. I cried when he was singing Golden. It was just like this artist has meant so much to me. And I just, he doesn't even know I exist. So yeah, just seeing him in the flesh was cool. He looked exactly like I thought he would. And I just didn't think I was going to get to see Harry Styles. Because, when these tickets went on sale, they either sold out right away or like the only seats that were available were like $1,000 or something. And then my lovely friend texted me and was like, do you want to go see Harry Styles tomorrow? And I said, do I want to? Anyway. So that's where I'm coming from. I had just like, a good week, but a tiring week. How are you doing, babe?
I hear the washing machine, like when it gets really going, it like bangs against the wall.
Oh,
And it always
yeah.
makes me think of that scene in Little Children where they have sex on the laundry machine.
Oh, yeah.
But
Is that the Kate Winslet movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm pretty good. Been a little creatively blocked, but got some song ideas. I'm back on the pickleball court, etc. Yeah.
Back and better than ever, huh? Dan said to me the other day, I haven't lost a game in a while, babe.
Yeah, I saw a doctor for the strain. I have a groin strain. And so it was like, she was this like really appealing, like woman in her probably my age, probably like mid to late 30s. And, she's like inspecting my groin.
Lucky lady.
And I was like, yeah, I've been back in the gym, lifting. And, I play pickleball too. And she was like, oh, okay. She was like, my dad is, he is an avid pickleballer. He loves it. And she was like, yeah. She's like, where do you play? I think he plays at Allendale. And I was like, okay. I probably know him. And she was like, oh, okay. She was like, do you know Sean? And like, man, I was like, Sean, are you serious? Like, that is my guy.
We love you, Sean. I can't wait to release my essay about pickleball.
Yeah.
Coming in January 2023. We are going to do a couple reactions to
Hell yeah.
relationship advice Reddit posts. But first, I wanted to read basically a summary it's from this roundup list called the best Reddit relationship threads of all time from complex.com. Anyway, I want to read one of these because I thought it was super funny. And then we can read our relationship advice posts and give our takes that nobody asked for or will ever.
Yeah, it's our sick little, little fetish.
Okay. So before we do that, we're going to showcase one of these best relationship Reddit posts of all time. This one was coming in at number 7. I think this was like a top 10 list. So at number 7, this author, Kevin Wong, called this post, "She Towers Over Me." Okay. So Kevin writes, in this post that someone wrote on relationship subreddit, a man is insecure because when his girlfriend wears heels, she's taller than him. The entire community rides him mercilessly and calls him an insecure fool. Dude, you have a statuesque girlfriend who isn't hung up on what other people think. You've won. The best response, though, was this one. I've got a girlfriend who has way nicer hair than me. I'm a bald guy who shaves my head regularly, but my girlfriend has thick, beautiful, shoulder-length black hair that she insists on getting stylishly cut. I've brought up the issue a couple of times, casually implying that she might consider shaving her head to avoid making me appear balder, but she claims it's normal. Feeling afraid I'll be cut out of social circles or stranded at parties when things get hairy. In other words, the community treated this concern with the lack of seriousness it deserved. That's a fun one. Okay.
You get more, right?
There's more. Let me see
okay.
if there's any I want to share. Any more I want to share.
That just reminds me of that season of that podcast, Seen on Radio, which I love. The one about misogyny and gender. Do you remember this? The
No.
like womb envy thing, or like birth envy that like
No.
historically, like when people like way back when, before like, you know, we lived in cities and stuff. So in this episode of Seen on Radio, which is amazing, all the seasons are really good. John Biewen says, quote, "But there is evidence that if we're talking about how we got this thing, you know, maybe the original motives for patriarchy, there is evidence that was that was different in at least some hunter-gatherer societies. Mel Connor told me about cultures in which the husbands of pregnant women eat plants that make them constipated. So when the woman goes into labor, the dad goes out into the bush and struggles and strains to push out a heroic poop. And then he comes back and reports he gave birth to a stillborn baby," end quote.
I mean, if that doesn't inspire modern men to, I mean,
I'm just picturing
I'm trying to put myself in that situation as being a woman in, a hunter-gatherer society, picturing that.
Sure.
And then it's like my husband is like, "Oh, you're going into labor. I now am also going into a labor of my own."
Mm-hmm.
And then is he bringing the turd back with him? Or is he he's just reporting?
No, he's reporting.
"I gave birth to a stillborn baby."
Yeah.
What if every time I went and took a shit, I came back and was like, it's just a stillbirth. Oh my God. Okay. Wow. Yeah. I don't know how we got here, but I love it here. Water's warm. Let's dive into some relationship advice.
Yeah.
Okay. I just sent you one. Maybe you could.
I read it.
You could read it or read part of it and then popcorn it to me.
Okay. No, I think one of us should read the whole thing if we're doing it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. This one is called 35 Female. This is the headline, yeah. 35 Female. My husband, 37 male, said something weird to my sister, 32 female. My husband and I have been married for 2 years now, and things are not perfect. We're both type A personalities with 6-figure jobs and very big egos. We both really like to win, and when we disagree, it can be very difficult to resolve. We are trying to be better, and we do love each other deeply. Neither one of us wants a divorce, and we want things to work. We get each other like nobody else does. My husband and sister are very close. When she found out we were getting married, she was overjoyed. They text each other frequently and are always very happy to see each other. We recently took a family trip to a beach house. My siblings were there, their spouses, my parents, my nieces and nephews, and me and my husband. I was tired after dinner. I decided to lay down. I woke up. It was late. My husband wasn't in bed. I walked out of the room and saw my sister and husband on the couch. She had her feet in his lap and they were talking softly. I know I shouldn't have, but I hung back to see if I could hear anything. My sister asked a question that I couldn't really hear, but seemed to be struggling to phrase. My husband said yes. Yes, the answer is yes, and yes, the answer is no. She replied, I know. I went back in our room, and at that point I've been reeling ever since. I'm worried about what they were saying, but I'm scared to say I was eavesdropping. I never saw them that close before, and it seemed like crossing a line. Do I tell him not to talk to her anymore? Do I ask her what was said? I feel like no matter what I do, I look crazy. Then it says TLDR. What does that mean?
Too long didn't read?
Oh. Too long didn't read. Found my husband quasi-cuddling with my sister and overheard a very cryptic exchange. No idea what to do now. Edit. What?
Oh, no, you don't read that part. I think it was a typo.
Okay.
I feel like an old fogey being like, is that what TLDR
I don't know about that shit.
TLDR stands for too long didn't read, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a great one. Great choice.
Yeah. What do you think about it?
Okay. The first thing that's coming for me
So
is,
just to recap, if anyone got lost, the OP, which stands for original poster, is 35, female. Her husband, 37, male, was seen on the couch after dinner. Everyone else is asleep with OP's sister, right?
yeah.
Age 32, female.
Mm-hmm.
Her sister has her feet in her husband's lap,
Mm-hmm.
and they're talking softly. OP overhears something, but she can't really make any sense of it.
She hangs back. She wants to listen closer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is how it's striking to me that for so many people, when something uncomfortable arises, the first, and it has to do with someone in their life, the first response is, should I make a rule that you can't, like that so-and-so can't talk to him, or you can't do this anymore? Like, what does it say that is like for so many people, what they see when they're thinking about what to do about it? Like, that just seems, first of all, not the solution.
right.
And like, also, even if you were going to draw a boundary, like, it's not step one, like there's so much else to do when you're having an experience that's uncomfortable, where you're feeling fear, where you don't have enough information. You know what I mean? That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah. It's funny because even though I read this a couple times, I kind of missed that question at the end where she asks, do I tell him, my husband, not to talk to her anymore?
Yeah.
Do I ask her what was said? Yeah. Yeah. It seems like, okay, maybe I'll just fix this without figuring out any information that I don't want to know.
Right. Yeah. And, what's notable to me is that the fact that this person saw them and their physicality, was striking. It was not in like typical of how they usually behave when she's around. Right. So I think there's questions that she could ask. And she doesn't have to say necessarily that she eavesdropped. First of all, she can if she wants. But I think it would be totally, if this was my friend and they were asking me what to do, I would say, I would say, hey, I think it's reasonable for you to say, hey, I saw you guys sitting and you looked really comfortable together. And like, first of all, we don't know what that means, right? It could mean that they perceive this person, the protagonist, or the, what is it? The
OP, original poster.
That they perceive them to be jealous or like rigid, or, they have some fear around upsetting her. And so maybe they are on guard. Maybe they do have a loving relationship. That doesn't mean they're sleeping together necessarily, but like they wouldn't do that in front of her because of blah, blah, blah. And then this person could ask themselves, if that were the case, is that okay with you? If it's just that like they actually do feel affectionate for each other, towards each other.
Right. Yeah.
That's a place to start.
Yeah. 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 It's such a theme when she says, I feel like no matter what I do, I look crazy. I think, women are so worried about looking crazy, seeming crazy, being called crazy, because that is often what happens.
Right.
So it's hard if you're doing this calculus of like, what can I do that's not going to make me seem crazy? It's like people are going to call you crazy no matter what, because our society is like really misogynist and fucked up. So you can't really operate from that standpoint. It's like and you're worried about seeming crazy to your sister and your husband, like that's something weird going on in the relationship to me.
Yeah. I'm curious for her why it was relevant to include the fact that they're both type A and they're competitive. Like that's where she started. Like that didn't really in an obvious way factor into the story itself.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? So she said, in the very beginning, she says, my husband and I are both type A personalities with 6-figure jobs and very big egos. We both really like to win. And when we disagree, it can be very difficult to resolve. Mm-hmm. So that feels important, but it's not, we're not able to connect the dots
right
with the situation and why that's relevant.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it is.
Who knows?
It could
so
be
curious.
Like, you know, it would feel vulnerable to display jealousy, right? Like talking about looking crazy or like fear around like, oh, like, am I going to have to be jealous of how you are with my sister? Is that a threat to me? And then it's not about winning, you know, it's about like sharing your feelings.
Yeah. I wonder how sharing feelings, how that looks in the relationship.
It makes me so frustrated that like those things are lumped together so much. Like winning power is linked to not displaying vulnerability or like softness towards people, I guess. It's not the most articulately put, but do you know what I'm saying? Like big ego, powerful, successful, like is at odds with, hey, I'm feeling concerned and like scared that something might be going on, you know, and I want to connect with you about it.
Yeah, it seems like, I wonder if that, is not part of the culture of their relationship, you know?
Yeah, it sounds like maybe not.
Well, best of luck to you guys. Okay. I'll read this to you. This is from user Prune and Potato Cake. Title: Everyone thinks my boyfriend is ugly. Everyone has always let me know how ugly my boyfriend is. This wouldn't be a problem if it didn't make me see the features they are talking about. Had a couple of my friends meet him and they all told me how lucky he is to have me because of how he looks. I do find him attractive. My sister crops him out of photos because she says, quote, he has a weird face, end quote. He has expressed to me too that he worries I'll realize one day I can do better than him and leave. Someone saw him and said, why do pretty brown girls always settle for unattractive white men? Quote. There are small things that would greatly improve his appearance, but he doesn't seem that interested in doing them. I would never ask him to change that about himself either. I guess my attraction to him is just slowly dwindling. Oh. Can't vent to my boyfriend about it because it'll just make him insecure. Can't vent to family and friends about it because they are the ones saying this about him. It would just be nice for someone to validate what I see in him. Edit: for those of you saying that I'm shitty for letting this affect me, you don't understand the background I come from. I have very strict, controlling parents that have had an opinion on literally everything I do. I was raised by them to take absolutely everything they say to heart. My attraction to him hasn't changed. It's only made me notice the things people say about him, which is contradicting what she says earlier. Although I actually don't know. Oh, I'm assuming gender because she said her friend asked her, why do pretty brown girls always settle for unattractive white men? Yeah. Okay. Then she said earlier, though, I guess my attraction to him is just slowly dwindling. Right. 2 paragraphs later, she says, my attraction to him hasn't changed. Okay. It's only made me notice the things people say about him. He doesn't even know any of this because I have never once told him. I constantly lift him up and compliment him because I want him to be confident. Some of you are acting like you have never doubted any aspect of your relationship from being anxious. I'm only venting because it bums me out and feels good to have people like your partner. It doesn't actually change anything for my relationship. Also, all caps, I do stand up for him and tell them to stop. It doesn't make my family stop. It's hard that her family's like saying how ugly he is.
Yeah.
Edit number 2, fucking Christ. I just wanted to vent. His family makes extremely racist comments toward me and have even called the police on me many times just for hanging out with him. I've never held that against him. No relationship is perfect, and people are seeing this through a very narrow scope.
Jeez. Okay.
I don't really know where to start with this one.
I like almost don't want to take the last part, but
take it? What do you mean? Like include it?
Like address it, that part of it.
Well, that one is really concerning. The fact that his family has called the police on her many times.
What the hell? How?
I don't know.
Yeah. That's
I don't have much to say about
so
this one
far out.
I know.
So far like out of left field.
I know. I mean, this is about so much. There's so many layers to this.
That there are some really good, interesting things in this though. The situation sucks.
Yeah. It sounds so hard.
I think it's, I mean, like, I'm just thinking about like this. First of all, I think we can relate to the thing of like wanting people to see your partner and be like, wow, your partner's so attractive.
Yeah, of course. Because it reflects well on you.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Totally. Or like, you know, people see like some actor and then their wife is like, you know, not a famous person and maybe not necessarily like conventionally so beautiful. And it's like people like, you know, give side eye to that.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. I don't know. I think people are so mean.
It also, sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah. I was just going to say people are so mean and I'm just confused about the situation because it sounds like OP is attracted to this person, but now is finding herself having these doubts because of everyone in her life, including her family, you know, calling her boyfriend ugly and saying he looks weird and her asking them to stop. They don't stop. So obviously there's, you know, a boundary thing there happening that it's like she's asked them to stop and they don't stop. And then she does, we don't know what, maybe just continues to take it. So then it's like there hasn't been a boundary put in place.
And like, that, like, think about that. The toll of people in your life telling you like, you're better looking than this person. Like you're underachieving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's like such a leap.
Yeah.
And it strikes me as just very capitalist that like, you know, the person that you date should be the maximum attractiveness, you know, you can find for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. And there's so many other like things other than like physical appearance that draw you to a person, you know?
Right.
So it's just,
Yeah. And it sounds like it's affecting him.
Yeah.
Too. He's insecure about it.
Yeah.
So it's like for her, she kind of needs to, it sounds like she needs to process what it is for her. And if she's going to, you know, commit to this person, because the way she was phrasing it was kind of like, I am starting to doubt, or like, I feel like I need to like pump him up. Because it affects us when he's feeling less confident is what I got from it. What was like the second sentence that we both kind of looked at each other?
The second one? Or the second time?
It was early on and like at the beginning of this.
This wouldn't be a problem if it didn't make me see the features they're talking about. That's a kind of a weird sentence.
Yeah.
It's like, what, you didn't see these features before?
Well, it's like she's attracted to him, but she's like, oh, now that you mention it, like that isn't ideal for a nose or whatever, you know, like.
Right.
Then it's like, this reminds me of like kind of the stuff Martha Beck talks about in terms of your internal compass and like what feels good and like what you're drawn to, what feels like freedom to you. And then outside of that is the culture and like what you think you should want. What you ought to do because like sort of based on fear. And that's kind of striking me with this situation.
Yeah, this sounds like a situation of being, torn between how you really feel and then being pulled in this other direction based on all this external noise that you're getting from people in your life.
Yeah.
You know?
And just like this natural, but also like very much societal, natural in a societal way of like wanting to live your life so that other people covet what you have. Right? That's like wealth is such a big part of that.
Right.
Like we know that wealth, like more wealth doesn't make people happier, but like that doesn't change anything. Even though we know it doesn't change how people operate really.
And that's our show. Thanks for joining us. Our music is by Nightlight. We self-produce this podcast, so please subscribe, rate, and review. It really helps.